Did you have a video of Prime Minister Trudeau talking about you last night?
Well, he's two-faced, and I guess he's not very happy about it. I mean, you were there, a couple of you were there, and he's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada, they have money.
Do you think that Germany's too naive?
And honestly, with Trudeau, he's a nice guy. I find him to be a very nice guy. But, you know, the truth is that I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%, and they should be paying 2%. So I called him out on that, and I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it is. Look, I'm representing the U.S., and he should be paying more than he's paying, and he understands it.
Did you hear what Trump just said about Trudeau? It's causing chaos in Canada right now. The stock market is in free fall, politicians are scrambling, and citizens are in an uproar. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing. It makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. But that's not even the craziest part. Trump's bombshell revelation about Trudeau's parentage is sending shockwaves through North America. You won't believe what he's claiming about the Canadian Prime Minister's real father. Trump's victory speech sent shockwaves through Canada's economy.
If Trump is serious about deporting people, rounding them up, a lot of these people will head for the Canadian border. And although we have an agreement with the United States, it's not a treaty. We are more influenced by American media and American cultural developments, I would say, than any other country. G7 last met in Canada. All of a sudden, Trump changes his position and describes Trudeau as weak.
The moment he mentioned new tariffs on Canadian goods, panic spread like wildfire. The Toronto Stock Exchange plummeted, with investors scrambling to offload shares in key industries. Within hours, the Canadian dollar took a nosedive, reaching its lowest point in years. Major companies in the lumber and manufacturing sectors saw their stock prices crater. CEOs of these firms held emergency meetings trying to figure out how to weather the storm. Economic experts painted a grim picture. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a leading economist at the University of Toronto, warned of potential job losses in the hundreds of thousands. If these tariffs go through, we're looking at a devastating impact on Canadian workers and families, she said. The threat loomed largest over border towns and communities heavily dependent on trade with the US. In places like Windsor, Ontario, and Surrey, British Columbia, anxiety gripped residents as they wondered about their economic future.
Canada does have very big advantages over us in terms of trade deficits. We have a big trade deficit with Canada. I was reading where, it's actually a surplus. Not a surplus. And it's very unfair to our farmers, and it's very unfair to the people of our country, the workers, the farmers, the companies. And we are not able to trade. They have tremendous barriers up. They have tremendous tariffs. But it could actually be 100. You know, they put out a document. I don't know if you saw it. They didn't want me to see it, but we found it. Perhaps they were trying to show the power they have. It's close to $100 billion a year loss with Canada.
Prime Minister Trudeau, caught off guard by Trump's aggressive stance, quickly assembled his top economic advisors. Sources inside the Prime Minister's office described a tense atmosphere as they worked through the night, strategizing on how to respond to this economic assault. Meanwhile, opposition parties seized the moment. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre demanded immediate action, accusing Trudeau of being weak on trade. While Trudeau dithers, Canadian jobs are at risk, Poilievre thundered in a fiery press conference. The potential impact on Canada's economy is staggering. Analysts predict a possible recession if the tariffs are implemented. Key sectors like auto manufacturing, agriculture, and energy could face severe disruptions. Small businesses already struggling post-pandemic might be pushed to the brink. But the economic turmoil is just the tip of the iceberg. As Canadians grapple with this financial uncertainty, a political storm is brewing in Ottawa that could reshape the country's leadership landscape. While Canadians worried about their wallets, a political earthquake shook the foundations of Parliament Hill. Trudeau's team scrambled to contain the damage. They never saw the next blow coming. Trump's cryptic tweet hinted at a revelation that would leave the nation stunned. A leaked memo exposed the panic gripping Trudeau's inner circle. The document, obtained by opposition parties, revealed a government in full crisis mode. Emergency meetings were being held around the clock as advisors struggled to craft a response to Trump's threats. The opposition wasted no time capitalizing on the chaos. They demanded an immediate emergency debate in Parliament.
So personal dynamics are very important between the two leaders, because that sets the tone for how the administrations will relate to each other. In terms of Canada, I don't think anything is going to change in a way that it hadn't been accentuated in the past. Why is that the case? Because it became an issue in American politics and echoed on in American media. So that changes personalities. For Trump, he likes to have people come to him on bended knee. So if you do that, everything is fine.
Accusing Trudeau of mishandling relations with Canada's most important ally. The halls of power echoed with calls for accountability and decisive action. As the political storm intensified, Trudeau's approval ratings took a nosedive. Recent polls painted a grim picture for the Prime Minister. Leisure's November survey showed a staggering 68% disapproval rate, with only 27% of Canadians approving of Trudeau's performance. The numbers were a far cry from his once soaring popularity. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre seized the moment, painting Trudeau as weak and ineffective. His aggressive stance resonated with voters, propelling him to a commanding lead in the polls. Some surveys showed Poilievre's Conservatives leading the Liberals by as much as 20 points. Within the Liberal Party itself, whispers of dissent grew louder. A Nanos research poll delivered a devastating blow to Trudeau's leadership. Only 11% of respondents viewed him as the best choice to lead the Liberals. The numbers fueled speculation of a potential leadership challenge, with party insiders quietly discussing potential replacements. As Ottawa reeled from the political fallout, Trump added fuel to the fire. He fired off a cryptic tweet about failed leaders up north, sending social media into a frenzy of speculation. Political analysts scrambled to decipher the message, wondering what bombshell the former president might drop next. The tension reached a fever pitch as Canadians braced for Trump's next move. What shocking accusations did he make against Trudeau on live TV? The answer would send shockwaves through the nation, threatening to upend Canada's political landscape and strain relations with its closest ally even further. But as this political chaos unfolded, a new threat emerged on the horizon, one that would test the very foundations of Canadian democracy and push the country to the brink of a constitutional crisis. Trump's triumphant return signals a stormy new chapter in Canada-US relations. Trudeau's political career hangs by a thread as he faces an onslaught from all directions. The Conservative surge, led by the unstoppable Pierre Poilievre, has left the Liberals reeling. Trudeau's approval ratings have plummeted to rock bottom, with a measly 27% of Canadians backing him. The next few months will be a wild ride that determines Canada's fate. Will Trudeau's Liberal Party ditch their sinking leader? Can the economy weather Trump's tariff threats? One thing's for sure, the political landscape is shifting dramatically. Poilievre's Conservatives have surged ahead by a whopping 20 points in some polls, leaving Trudeau's team in full panic mode. As the dust settles, Canada finds itself at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming weeks could reshape the nation's future for years to come. Buckle up, Canada. This roller coaster is just getting started,